Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome. We're just gonna wait for the others just for a few minutes. And please, guys, if you're watching from somewhere, let me know where you're watching from. Let me just adjust my there. Let me know where you're watching from, and so I can shout it out where you are. This afternoon, we're going to be discussing portraits. Not so much on the technical side, but more on the creative side, like what I mentioned last time. I said that I'd be focusing more on portraits this time around. So I prepared some slides and some few presentations for you guys. So hang on there. Let's just wait for the others. Paramdam naman, comment. Let me know where you are. Who's watching? Also, just a reminder na if ever this get cut off kasi we don't really know, like the internet sometimes go bad, you just come back to the GRP Digital Imaging Institute page. Go there because I'm gonna be doing this live for an hour, so between 2 and 3 p.m. So if it get cuts off, go back there and go to the page, just continue watching from there. Kasi hindi talaga natin alam kung ano mangyayari dahil, internet and maybe the software. So yeah, we have some few people already, but I do not see any comment. Please feel free, let me know where you are. In about 5 minutes or so, we're gonna be doing the live already. So just hang on there and isip mo ng konti. Parang hindi ako naka-center. Yan. So, feel free to comment. In about, time is 2:04. Let's start around 2:08. Okay? At the end of the session also, you can fire your questions away in the comment sections. I'll try to answer it as much as I can. Okay, so maybe you can throw some technical questions there, but only at the end of the workshop. I'd like to try to focus more on the creative side of portrait photography for this live session. So, sino-sino yung mga nandyan? May mga taga Cebu ba dyan? May taga Bicol, taga Davao, Paranaque, Pampanga. So, paramdam, nasan kayo? It's 2:05, few more minutes to go. Musta na? How is it going with the pandemic and all the negative news that we always see every day? I actually stopped watching the news for a while already. I normally just go to some articles and choose those that I want to read. There's too much negativity already happening in the society, so I don't think it's going to help if I'm gonna flood myself with the negativity. So, how are we doing? It's 2:06, 2 more minutes to go. Then we start this workshop. Sana ma-enjoy nyo to and please feel free to by the way, you can also check out my YouTube channel. And thanks to those who subscribe. Tinulungan ako umabot ng more than 100 subscribers. So my YouTube is Albert Pedrosa Portraits. And then my Instagram is Albert Pedrosa PH. And my website, please check nyo naman guys. albertpedrosa.com. So yeah. So I'm gonna come back here. All right. Are you ready to start? It's 2:07. It's just a minute to go, and I'm gonna start talking about portraits, my style of shooting. There's a lot of different portraits. I'll talk about it later. So, dun sa mga just tuned in, please let me know where you're watching from. Say hi. Let me know that you're there. Oh, it's 2:08. So, let's start. Teka, some shoutouts muna. Dito daw si Jay. Jay is here. Uh, Pateros daw si Jay. Joanna is also here. Pamparanaque. Oy, student ko to. Magaling to, Lawrence. Oy, Louie, classmate. Miss ko na. So, yeah. All right, let's do the... If I'm going to describe the type of photos I'm creating, I would say that my style of portraiture is artistic, conceptual, and editorial. It is very much close to fashion and beauty, but strongly influenced by mindfulness. My objective when shooting my style of portraits is to capture the emotions. I try to create a moment and a dimension that only exists in my imagination. I try to find the union and the harmony of moments. I try to find the emotions expressed by form and elegance where elements of symphony, all expressing it perfectly. It's finding the void and finding the space. It is an explosion. It is an expression. It is a dance. It is a moment. It's an art. It's a relation. It's a feeling. It's an unknown dimension. It's beauty. It's rage. It's a communication. It's a new breed of meanings. What I see is what I feel. It's where I'm free. This is me. This is me. Okay, galing ng intro, no? What I did was just compiled some of the photos that I felt like represent my style of shooting. Yan natin, baka may nag-comment. Okay, marami na rin, mamaya na lang. So, it is some photos that I collated the other day. I was just checking which photos would greatly represent who I am as a portrait photographer. Uh, I'd like to introduce myself first, baka makalimutan na naman ulit. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Albert Pedrosa. I am a commercial photographer and I love shooting portraits and mostly geared towards fashion type of portraits. It's really hard for me to define or label my type of work, whether is it fashion, is it portrait, is it it's hard to put labels on what you do because that really depends on how I feel and what I'm shooting. So yeah, I'm a commercial photographer and love shooting fashion type of portraits. And I'm also a Canon professional. I do workshops for them. I teach in PCCI. I also teach at SOFA. What else? I'm an Adobe certified expert. I started my career in photography 10 years ago, and I was actually working on a corporate environment before that. And 10 years ago, I decided to quit my job and do this passion that I love doing. So my style of portraiture is really not about visual impact. I love the idea of a viewer looking at your photo and interpreting their type of story that they see in your photo. I love photos that are not plain. I want it to be something deep, something that when you look at it, you try to imagine, you try to come up with the story. And I'm always asked, uh, I'm always asked, like people in my class, then students would ask, how do you put a story on an image? Like a video is, a motion picture that explains the story, while a photo is just a still photo. And how can you tell a story out of a still photo? Well, a still photo, it really more of the definition of story. When you say story in a movie, there's always like a start, or sometimes the movie even starts at the end and goes back to the beginning and middle. In photos, in my interpretation, the story of a photo doesn't really follow the normal way of how a story is being told in a movie. A story in a still photo is about a moment in time, which is enveloped by emotions, enveloped by feelings, uh, something that the person wants to say. So it's a moment in time. It's part of a bigger story. So that's for me one way to interpret a story in a one way to interpret a story in a still photo. Yeah. So it doesn't need to have a beginning, middle, end. No, it's more of like how you feel when you look at the photo. What stories that starts to come out of your imagination when looking at a photo. So that's where the story comes in. If you look at an image and then it doesn't trigger you a feeling, it doesn't trigger you an emotion, it doesn't let you imagine something, then that's when you say the photo doesn't have a story. It's flat. It's not triggering just about anything. So that's where the story comes in. Okay. So let me just move on to my next presentation. So my style of portrait, uh, I like, you would see me a lot shooting in my personal work. I shoot a lot of black and whites. Well, some people would say it's a little bit cheating, and I would agree, because when you're shooting black and white, the colors actually doesn't complicate the composition. It doesn't complicate the feeling. It's just a raw feeling. And when you shoot black and white, everything's just down straight, very dramatic, right? So wait, let me just check. Parang gumalaw ulit. Okay. Okay. So when you do black and white, it's just down straight, dramatic, and very emotional. So you call it cheating in a way. I would agree, yes. But there is no other way to express your feelings and emotion with just downright raw black and white images. It gives you that opportunity to actually uh, declutter and remove any colors that will influence the image. And it is just raw, it is just pure emotion. So that's my kind of portrait. I'm greatly and very much influenced by a lot of photographers, and I'm going to be talking about the two photographers that greatly influenced me when I was starting up, and later as I tried to find my type of photos. So when I started back in 2010, I tried a lot of different types of genre. I tried landscape because back then I really didn't know what to do. Am I going to be shooting portraits? Am I going to be shooting landscape? So I tried almost everything. I tried events. I tried well, macro. I haven't tried macro, but I've tried portraiture. I've tried landscape. I tried travel photography. Uh, all those things. I tried all of them, and it was very enjoyable. I love spending time shooting with other photographers, and we're shooting streets, and it was golden moments for me. But when I realized that when I'm shooting portraits, I feel like it's something that's very close to my artistic sense. Okay, so back then, early 2010, I didn't know what to do, and I stumbled upon a workshop by Melissa Radwell. Let me just move on to my next slide. So Melissa Radwell back then was doing a lot of workshop. I don't know if you guys know Melissa Radwell, and her work was the turning point for me because when I uh, uh, subscribed to one of her workshops and I saw her work, I felt like this is something I wanted to do. I wanted to do something very similar to the type of artwork that Melissa Radwell is doing, and I felt the connection right away. So I started trying to mimic her style. I started, in fact, if my assistant is going to be here, Jennifer, she would tell you that she wouldn't ask me for my concept anymore because every time she asked me for a concept, and I would say, "Oh, you know the concept, the type of photos that Melissa Radwell is doing," and she uh, didn't ask again because she knows because that's going to be my answer every time. So for a couple of years, I've been shooting almost always like the style of Melissa Radwell because I'm totally inspired by how Melissa is shooting and the output, the emotions, the feeling. What you're seeing right now is some of the photos of Melissa Radwell. And greatly. Now, me right now, looking at the photos of Melissa, I'm still stoked. I'm still totally inspired with her work, and it's beautiful. It's strong. It's emotional. So yeah, it was because of her type of work that I started doing this type of portraits. Uh, it was a difficult journey because there's a lot of skills to gain. There's a lot of experiences to gain. There's a lot of learnings to be done. So I went through all of that. Okay, and later in my photographic journey, the next person that greatly influenced my type of work was just like maybe 4 years ago. I started following this guy, and back then this guy was still alive. Unfortunately, he's already dead. Peter Lindbergh. About 4 years ago, I saw some of his work because he was featured in one of the Vogue. There was like a dedication, like more of like a feature story about Peter Lindbergh. He was still alive back then. And then when I saw his pictures, it was totally different from Melissa. But there's that similarity and that strong connection to the subject. And that's when I started following the work of Peter Lindbergh. I even asked my sister to buy me that hardbound book, which I have. So I think Peter Lindbergh gave me the soul. Melissa Radwell gave me the inspiration. Peter Lindbergh gave me the soul of the photos that I take, the images that I produce. It adds a lot of artistic sense on my work about his influence to my work. So this guy was so popular during the 1980s. He was the one who made supermodels out of the supermodels like Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford. So he was the one who made supermodels out of them, which in the end they're now paid more than the photographers. Because back during the 70s, it was the photographers that were paid more than the models. But yeah, so Peter Lindbergh was one of those who uh, made supermodels out of the models. So you can search about his work and you can search about his style, okay? But that greatly affects my type of work. Okay. So wait, let me just check here. Dito si ano, Dari. Ito, check nyo rin. Trabaho ni Dari, super. Magaling to. Sabi ni Dari, libre daw. Ay, libre naman talaga to, di ba? Wait, let me just check some of the other comments. Hold on. Okay, let me just check on the other comments. Okay, I have a problem. It seems that in my comment section here, nothing is appearing, but in my phone, everything is there. Let me just reset my comment section. Comments and reactions. It's there, but I can't see the comments in my page. But in my personal FB account, I can see the comments. Everything's there. Uy, boss. Si Derry is tuned in, master. So, yeah. So let me continue. So two photographers greatly influenced me when I was starting out. It was Melissa Radwell, and later on in my career, uh, I learned about the work of Peter Lindbergh. And from then on, I realized that when you want to study portraiture, you need to understand the type of work that other uh, great portrait photographers were during the 1970s or the 1960s. And these are the people that I greatly followed during those days, during those era, rather. One is Richard Avedon, and there's also David Bailey, Helmut Newton, oh, maling spelling Helmut ko. Andy Warhol, and Annie Leibovitz. I it's hard for me to follow the way the direction of where Annie Leibovitz is going. I really love her work on the early 70s, but later towards the mid 80s, I don't know if I can still relate to her type of artistry, but she's a really good photographer, and I love her work with Rolling Stones and Vanity Fair. Richard Avedon is a totally different guy. Some people would say everything that happened during the 70s, they called it the Avedon era. He was the first guy who started adding motions to every shots because every before it was mostly like sit, don't move, I'll take a picture. Avedon changed how it was done. he allowed movement. He allowed actions. He allowed a lot of things to happen in the set, and which greatly changed the way photography was back then. You can also check these two, I would say, hard ass guys, David Bailey and Helmut Newton. These are the crazy photographers back then. Uh, Kumbaga sila yung mga superstar dati. Wait, let me just check on this. Testing my comment section. Oh, see, wala nga lumalabas. So, yeah. So, you can also check their work, Helmut Newton and Andy Warhol as well. You see, Andy is really more of a fine arts type of photographer. So, um, when you want to learn portrait photography, it's really not all about apertures. It's really not all about shutter speed. It's really not all about uh, the nifty 50 or a full frame camera or what. You have to embrace the idea that when you're shooting portrait, the portraiture itself is the art. And oh, let me just move on to my next slide. I want to discuss further about that topic. So, wrong spelling pa, inspiration. So, watching here from Batangas, Elmer Castro. So, let me talk about, before I talk about my inspirations, let me talk about when you're learning portraits, shooting portraits. When I started up, the intention was really not to learn the technical skills that's needed to take portraits. I started with that urge of creating images that inspired me, that relates to my artistic sense. Because of that urge, because of that feeling, because I wanted to create that particular look. It was then that the urge to understand or the need to understand the technical aspects of photography was born. Uh, because the reason I wanted to learn the different parts and technicalities of photography is because I wanted to create and I wanted to produce something. And when I'm shooting and I'm unable to produce a particular image that I wanted to create, that's when the research, that's when the why, how, and how come I cannot produce something like this. So that's where that urge of trying to understand and learn which part of the photography skills do I need for me to be able to produce. It's more of like it starts with the urge to produce this type of image, the urge to express myself, and because of those urges, the need for me to learn the technical side of photography was born because I cannot produce this type of images, and the only way for me to produce this type of images is to learn this. It doesn't go the other way around. Well, I can speak for myself. It goes with I don't learn photography, I don't learn the technicalities of camera, and then after that, I try to learn a particular genre. No, when I discovered shooting portraits is something that I really wanted to do, I forced myself to learn lighting. I forced myself to learn camera settings. I'm forced to learn all the editing techniques that I needed to do. I forced myself to learn all of those things because of something that I wanted to create. So, nagumpisa dun sa something that I wanted to create and the need to learn the techniques and styles and the technicalities of photography came about because of that particular objective that I wanted to do. I wanted to create. So, ganon, hindi siya baliktad. So, I also urge you, when you're doing your passion, when you're doing photography, may it be landscape, may it be street, whatever type of genre you choose, it has to be strong. The artistic side what you wanted to produce should be strong enough to push you to learn the technicalities of how to produce those images. In my case, I love shooting portraits, and those portraits are the ones who pushed me to learn the different techniques and styles and technicalities of photography, the lighting, dealing with subjects, dealing with models, working with stylists. I even learned how to do makeup because of the urge of understanding how makeup works. I even attempted to enroll in a styling class. It was supposed to be the next class that I'll be doing, but yeah, I'm done with my makeup class, and I'll be doing the styling class. So all of those things came about because of the urge, because I wanted to create that image that I wanted to share, I wanted to say, I wanted to express as an artist. Okay, so where do I get my inspiration and inspirations? Uh, uh, a lot of things. When you go into photography, there's a lot of small details that uh, now you get to see. When you're not a photographer, you don't get to see some of the details. But when you start shooting, the smallest details now becomes a lot of things. When I'm commuting, I'm in MRT, LRT, Grab, or whatever. I see faces. I see people. I see when I'm walking in Makati, when I'm walking in BGC, I see the way they dress. I see the way they express themselves. I see how they find effort to dress themselves. I see their expressions. I see their feelings. Even if I'm in a coffee shop and I'm alone, and even when I'm with somebody else, I look at other table and I sense and I see their sense of art, their sense of feeling, and I absorb all of those things, and every day when I wake up to the end of the day when I sleep, all of those things that I see, I absorb them. I feel them. And those feelings that I get are at some point wants to come out, and it goes to my imagination, and then photography now becomes something as a media, a tool for me to express those inspirations, those thoughts, those imaginations that I have that I wanted to share to people. The only way I can share my imagination is through my images. I don't know how to draw, so that's one way for me to share it through my images. So that's where I get my inspiration. It can be sometimes in a movie, or even when I'm reading a book. There's a lot of imaginations that's happening when you're reading a book. I don't really get a lot of inspiration when looking at somebody else's photo. I get a lot of appreciations though, but not so much on inspirations. My inspiration comes from a feeling, from a certain scene of my everyday life. So that's where my inspiration comes. Movies is also one thing, but really mostly in my day-to-day dealings. So, what else? Oh, if you have any questions, let me know. Hindi ko lang mailabas. Aking. Si Jappy is present. Hindi ko mailagay yung, I usually can put your comments in my live section. I don't know, it's just that the comment section is not working right now. Let me try again. Try again. Nope, it's not there. All I can see are my comments. Maybe I need to adjust something here. Nope, there's nothing there. So, what are we doing now? Next slide. Oh, by the way, this image is uh, Viviani. Yeah, Vivi. Uh, took this shot like 2 months ago, just before the quarantine period. I totally love this image. So next slide. I'm persistent in getting the shot that I want. Wrong ano pa to? Getting the shot I want. Okay. So, uh, when I started shooting before, pag di ko nakuha yung image na gusto ko, dahil nahiya ako sa model, I often end up like, oh, I think I got the shot already. I'm good with that. And when I go home and check my shots, I realize that there's really something that I wanted to produce, but medyo nahiya na ako kasi parang di ko maayos yung ilaw. I can't get the lightings right. I can't get the right angle. So I end up like just giving up. No? But, well, because I was still starting up back then. But later on, as I progress in my journey, I'm the type of photographer that's very persistent. Pag di ko nakuha yung gusto ko, I'm going to find a way. I'm going to change my lighting. I'm going to change the outfit. I'm going to change. I will try everything and mix everything up to get that really good shot. That's why when I'm shooting test, I almost always between 4 to 6 hours, and sometimes even more than 6 hours. And from those 6 hours of shooting, siguro nakuha ko lang doon mga 4 or 6 photos that I really like out after 6 hours of shooting. After probably about 800 to 1,000 frames, and yeah, so because I'm really persistent when it comes to what I wanted to see in my frame. So if I'm not getting it, I will try and attempt to get the most of that set. And if it's still not coming in, I change the outfit, I change the makeup, I try to talk to the subject. I try to do everything that I can to really create that particular shot that I want. So I'm very, very, very persistent uh, about the images that I'm producing. I don't give up easily. Very rare that I end up shooting and I go home not getting the shot that I want. Often, fewer shots that I want, but I always end up getting the shots that I want. Sometimes it takes too long, to maximum about 8 hours just to get the shot, but I never end a shoot without at least getting not the shots na sasabihin mong pwede na, but the shots that I would say it's okay the entire day shooting and just two really good photos. In fact, maski isa lang good na ako dun bayad na yung 1 day ko of effort of shooting it. As long as I get the shots and that's enough payment for me. So, okay. Ano pa ba sabi dito? And my comment section is still not working. Let me move on. Uh, Another thing is, if I can get away without editing it, I will. No, I'm an Adobe certified expert. I'm supposed to be really good in Photoshop, but somehow, not because that's the way Peter Lindbergh is doing it. He's not editing his work, but because I feel more connected to my images if I don't edit them. Of course, I edit them by converting them to black and white, maybe a little bit of contrast to it. But I don't do a lot of skin retouching. I don't do a lot of dodge and burning. I don't even do dodge and burning. So 90% of my personal work are unedited. They're mostly just converted to black and white. And not because I wanted to show off that my photos looks good even if I don't edit it, but because um, I just love my photos as is, as what I've seen them during my shoot. I can't think of another look that my image is gonna come out after shooting. It's when I shot it, it felt good. It was an image that clearly represents or reflects my artistic sense. So but I'm not saying 100% of my work is unedited. Of course, there's like 10% of it that I try to adjust. Hindi ko siguro nakuha yung gusto ko dun sa shot. But mostly, 90% of my work is mostly just converted into black and white, and that's it. And I love the rawness. Oh, I also add. I'm really fond of adding noise to it. So yeah, I do that conversion and adding noise to it. And the good thing about noise is that if there's some imperfections in the skin, the noise is going to cover that up. But I'm not intentionally doing the noise to cover up some imperfection. It's more of like because I love the feel of looking at images with a little bit of that roughness, those kind of thing. So, what else? So I don't edit as much as I do, but uh, there are times that I'm editing. Of course, commercially, when I'm doing commercial work, that's 100%. All of them are edited. But personal work, maybe 90% not edited, and then 10% is edited. Okay, so that's just my style. Okay, that's my way of doing things. I'm not saying you should do it the same. It's just that that's me. That's my style. Okay, so because I cannot see my sabi ni Louie. Hi po, Louie Bolalayaw. Kumusta? How are you? Where are you watching from? So, yeah, that's my style of shooting. If you have questions, feel free to throw your questions. Like, give me a minute. I'm gonna try to look for the. I'm going to try to look for the comments. Okay, let me just look for the. Hold on, just a minute. Hold on. It's loading. I'm going to try to find the comments in the GRP page, which I'm not seeing in my OBS. So hold on. It's still loading. Because the internet is being shared in my live, so it's a little bit slow. Copy break muna. Hold on, I'm looking for the comments. Baka kasi may mga tanong dun. Sayang naman, sagutin natin, di ba? Tapos biglang maputol, no? So if you have questions, feel free to put in the comments, and pag nakita ko na yon, I'll try to answer them. Okay. I'll try to answer them if pag makita ko siya. Which hindi ko makita yung comments eh. Cancel. Over here, I wanna cancel this. Gumagapang na ang internet ko. And I can't seem to find the comments. Si Sarmiento Sharky, thanks for watching. Okay, let me just check. Hindi ko makita yung comment section. Why? Something's wrong with my... Oh, now I'm seeing it. Yeah. So, sabi ni Ramsel, let me just quit Chrome. So, sabi ni Ramsel, uh, sabi niya, let me just change my solo. Here you go. Sabi ni Ramsel, hindi daw siya confident. I'm not confident on shooting male portraits. Seems odd to me, but with female portraits, I'm more inspired to do photography. Any thoughts on this? Thanks. From Tagum City daw. So, hi Ramsel. Kasama ko to sa Dumaguete one time eh. So, don't worry about that. Kasi ako din, medyo na-awkward ako pag nagsushoot ako ng male model. But noon yun. I really realized later. Kasi minsan, ang hirap when you're looking at your viewfinder and you're looking at the male and the male is looking at you straight. There's like this awkwardness feeling. Pero hindi. Once you get the hang of it, shooting males, and if it's strong that the artistic sense is what you're after, uh, eventually mawawala na yung awkwardness na yun. And lately I've been shooting male models and it's quite really interesting to know their stories. And especially if you talk to them before the shoot and talk to them about how was their journey, I mean the difficult life in modeling, all of that. And you get to learn more about them. Then it becomes something that's you created that particular bond. So mawawala din yun. Siguro maybe 5 to 10 experience of shooting males, medyo mawawala ni awkwardness. No? Sa umpisa lang, ako din mismo, takot ako mag-shoot ng male models. But ngayon medyo na-overcome ko na siya konti. So, if you have other questions, let me know. Nag-work na doon sa isa, pero sa kabila, ayaw pa mag-work. Sabi ni Jay, oh, Jepoy is watching from Calauan, Laguna. Hello there. Tapos si Jay. Jay, what is the worst experience while doing your shoot with the artist and the model? What good question. What's the worst case? I think the worst is mostly really coming from my end. Okay? There will be sometimes mga cases na yung model nakikialam dun sa gusto mong mangyari. Pero those are manageable eh. When they start directing instead of taking directions, it's really about you handling it. It's about, kasi pag pinigilan mo siya, lalo siyang magda-direct. So, allow the subject to contribute. And then after the subject contributes, then you contribute yourself. And then this is a time na ikaw naman, nagawa na niya yung gusto niya, tapos gawin mo naman yung gusto ko. Parang ganon. So, it's really more of handling. So, there's really no issue for me in those cases na maski yung subject nag-iinarte, hindi pa rin eh. Kaya-kaya naman i-handle yun eh. Kasi pag nag-iinarte siya, meaning what, hindi mo probably binigyan ng warm welcome, or kaya hindi mo siya, you were not that friendly pagpasok niya dun sa studio. So whatever reason there is, it's really manageable. I think everything is manageable. But in the case of worst, sa tanong ni Jay sa akin, sabi niya, worst case daw. I think the worst cases are about me. It's about me cannot produce something uh, that would pass my standard. The pressure that builds up in me that to produce and create something, mag 8 hours na wala ka pang nagawang tama, ang pangit pa ng mga shots mo. Wala pang pumasa maski isa. So those are the, for me, worst cases. It's because of my limitation. It's because of maybe I did not prepare it properly. I did not think about how I'm gonna be shooting. So worst cases are mostly because of me, yung pagkukulang ko. Mostly those are the things. Yung mga issue like uh, nag-shoot ka outdoors, may nakalimutan ka, nagagawa naman ng paraan yun eh. Well, you really need to plan a lot, but when you shoot outdoors, no matter anong mang naiwan mo dyan, of course, wag mo lang iwan yung camera mo, but you can always find a way, kasi ang daming pwede gawin sa outdoors. Naiwanan mo yung battery ng ilaw mo, may natural light. So, ang dami mo pwedeng magawa. So, everything actually can be managed. But mostly the issues are coming from my end. Yung pagkukulang ko na side. Sometimes that dryness in your creative spirit is actually killing you. So, yun, isa yun. So, okay. If you have questions, sabi ni Louie, ilang lights po madalas ang gamit niyo, sir? Depende talaga sa concept. May mga times umabot ako sa stage na masyado akong maarte sa ilaw. Umabot ako ng 6, 7. Sobrang arte ko sa ilaw. Lahat gusto kong i-perfect. And then, there was a stage in my journey din na naging one light lang ako. Tapos everything is just one light. Tapos there was a stage na I felt like my artistic sense is I love working with highlights. So nagiging 3, nagiging 4, depende sa pakiramdam ko tsaka feeling ko at that particular time. But regardless kasi kung isa yan or 4 or 6 or 8 yan, it's really the the skill that you have on understanding how light works. Kasi mapa-8 yan or mapa-isa, and sometimes yung isa mas maganda pa dun sa 8, it really doesn't mean na the more lights, the better the image is gonna be. I think what's critical is really what you have in your imagination. Ano ba nasa imagination mo na gusto mong i-create? If you have that imagination wanting to create, then that becomes like go back to what I said. That urge, that imagination that you wanted to share to people. How am I gonna produce this? Kailangan ko ba ng 1, 2, 3, 4 na ilaw or ilan ba? Anong lente gagamitin ko nito? Anong camera settings? What's the effect? I even tried learning inverse square law. I've learned a lot of things in photography, all because of the objective on expressing my thoughts and my imagination into an image. And because of that urge for me to share that photo, I've journeyed to a lot of different technical aspects of photography, because of that particular urge and need to express myself. So ganun nangyari. Maybe sa iba, they started learning the technicalities of photography, and then later the urge to shoot particular something came in. But in my case, baliktad. Nag-umpisa yung artistic side that I wanted to express something. And then later on, the technical side of photography came in because hindi ko siya nagagawa eh. Hindi lumalabas from what I expected it to come out. So, doon napilitan akong aralin kasi gusto ko lumabas according to what I want. So I hope that answered your question. So hindi mas maraming ilaw mas maganda. So, but dapat mo rin maintindihan paano gawin yung maraming ilaw. Kasi what if yung imagination mo can only be achieved by 8 lights, di ba? So, aralin yun, aaralin mo. Sarmiento Sharky, I really have a passion for photography and I want to learn more. Oh, anong subject ko to? I did a lot of work with her sa Plantation Bay. She's really good. Very beautiful. So, what else? May mga tanong pa ba dito na hindi ko nasagot? Previous comments, let me check. So, kung may mga tanong pa kayo dyan, tanong na. Tanong away. Oh, 2:58. Di ba sabi ko, alas 3 lang ako. So, guys, if you enjoyed this live workshop, please, a favor naman, drop by my YouTube channel, Albert Pedrosa Portraits. And subscribe. All of my live na mga recordings will be there. I'm gonna be placing it, and I'm cooking a lot of stuff. I'm doing a recorded workshop on about lighting. Ilalagay ko din doon sa YouTube channel ko. It's about lighting, and pinaghirapan ko to 1 week ko tong inisip kong what's the best way of teaching how to lights. So, subscribe to my channel kasi lalagay ko to by the end of the week. Lalagay ko yung ginawa kong pre-recorded na lighting guide. Ang title nun is How to Eliminate Your Fear of Strobes. Kasi maraming photographers na medyo takot sa strobes. And that workshop that I'm doing right now, nilalagay ko dun sa YouTube channel ko, will be focusing on those people na medyo takot dun sa strobe. So yung mga magagaling na sa strobe dyan, sila Dari, sila Jay, Jay Ramirez, hindi nyo na kailangan yan. This is really purely more on those people na medyo wants to venture into strobes and want to understand it. So, medyo ganun yung direction ng workshop din. So please, follow me or subscribe in my YouTube channel, Albert Pedrosa Portraits. And in my Instagram, bisitahin nyo naman, natutulog lang yung Instagram ko dun, Albert Pedrosa PH. Tapos if you have time, visit my website, www.albertpedrosa.com. Mas medyo nakakolate properly yung mga personal works ko dun. Hindi ko to sa Instagram ang gulo, maski ano lang yung nandun. Si website is a little bit more organized. So you can see different types of sets of photos that I'm doing. It's there. So, it's exactly 3 p.m. I hope you learned something today. I have some technical problems lang with my comments here. Hindi lumalabas. But I hope learned something today, and I hope I've imparted something, learning, especially we're all quarantined, and the industry, I don't know what's gonna happen after. We just have to, adapt and survive and be creative to find a way to find other sources of revenue. And I'm sure we're all gonna end up fine. This is all gonna pass. Medyo longer nga lang. But yeah, just have a positive attitude and keep that fire burning. And yeah, wala na bang last minute dito? Okay. So yeah, so if you thank you for your time spending with me an hour. I'm gonna be doing another live next week ulit. Hindi ko pa alam kung anong topic eh. I have already a set of different topics. Hindi ko alam na kung uunahin ko next week. But I'll announce that in my page. So, thank you so much. Thank you for your time and hope to see you guys again soon. Bye. Ciao.